We have heard a lot about glaciers receding over the last couple decades due to warmer temperatures.
Meteorologist Daniel McFarland joins us live in Midtown right now with details on how these changes in the weather are impacting the massive ice forms. In today's Climate Matters.
So yeah, that's typically something that, you think about impacting just the northern part of our country, areas like Canada that actually do have the ice around them, but it actually has a much bigger impact that could even have impacts here in Arizona. Most of the impacts we would have in our state would be indirect. More people would move to an area like Tucson to get away from the coastlines. We would also have a tough time visiting Rocky Point for vacations if sea levels rise due to glaciers receding. Ed Bayshore has lived in Arizona for a while, but lived in the Pacific Northwest, and he went back to visit recently and noticed the recession at one of his favorite spots.
I spent a lot of time at Mount Rainier, and there was an area on the north side called the Carbon Glacier, and I used to visit it regularly. And about 25 years later, my wife and I went back to see it, and we were shocked to find it had receded by about a mile.
Glaciers throughout most of the world have lost between 5 and 10% of their total length in just the past 20 years. In Greenland, however, that loss has been over 15% in that same time. Alaska is another spot that has lost a ton of ice over these last couple decades.
We went to the Columbia Glacier, which has receded 12 kilometers.
It is worth noting that the ice has been receding for the past 20,000 years since the last ice age, but it has begun to speed up a little bit more in recent decades. The University of Washington's Glacial Studies Department has run simulations, and their author said, "All of our simulations show that it will retreat at less than a millimeter of sea level rise per year for a couple hundred years. And then boom, it really starts to go." And there's some other impacts when it comes to the weather. You do tend to see the ice melt, and that cools some parts of the ocean, and that has a big impact on weather systems that could move down into our part of the country. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Daniel. All right, let's check in right now with Storm Tracker 4 Chief Meteorologist Matt Brode.